Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast, presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the MitsuTimes podcast. Today, my guest is Mr. Rohan Topiwala. He is the owner and driver of an 11-second Evo 10, but this one's very special because it has the SST transmission, which a lot of people underrate or maybe discredit. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm fantastic. I love having, I just got some comments saying that we need to do some more Evo 10 content, so I'm especially glad to have you on now after reading that.
I'm glad to be here.
Good. Well, I want to, talk about your car because I feel like a lot of the MR guys, they kind of, they get a lot of hate, don't they?
Yeah, mostly from the GSR guys.
But, the SST is, I think it's one of those things where now that people have figured it out, people are starting to really be able to wring out the full potential of that transmission.
That's what I've noticed now as well. Like a lot more people are more inclined to drag race them or beat on them, especially since a lot of them have been upgraded at this point due to that shift fork failure that most of them end up going through.
And they're not very cheap to rebuild, from my understanding.
No, they're not. I sent my unit out to Cosmic actually to get built. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting, but I wanted to keep the car. I didn't want to get rid of it. It's going to stay with me long term, as far as it'll take me.
Yeah.
So I put the money in, built it right, built it once, built it right, and I'm happy with the work.
One of those things where it is, it's you don't want to get rid of the car. You need to just go ahead and bite the bullet and pay the money. That way you can keep enjoying it.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let's get right into it. First off, Rohan, what is it that got you into drag racing? What is it that drew you in?
So, like a lot of other SST owners, I was very, very nervous about launching the SST, just due to how finicky the transmission is. It was more of a talk that sealed the deal, well, multiple talks. So, Luchin, PSI for TSI, he reassured me that it's not as stressful launching an SST as it looks. The first one may feel that kind of way, but once you see that the car does well with launches, you feel a lot better about it doing it again and again. So I didn't really launch my stock SST at all, just because it didn't really take the power of the 18K very well. It would shift okay, but I felt like it was very borderline with the power that the 18K gives. The stock 8-plate, it can't really hold very much power, so I didn't really launch it until I got my Cosmic transmission. Once I got my transmission built, I was launching within the same year.
Okay. So what was it that drew you to the Evo 10, Rohan? Was it just video games or something like that?
Actually, yes. That's where it actually ultimately started. And then one day I saw it at Brampton Mitsubishi, the dealership, and it was that opened a whole can of worms.
Okay.
So I never really got into modifying the car until about the last 7 years or so. The car has been with me for 12 years. Over that time, I just read extensively online through forums, reputable sources, to see what these cars are capable of. Because when I did get this car, I didn't really know very much about it. Just that it was in a lot of Need for Speed games, and that it's an Evo. I didn't know to what extent the car can handle modifications. Eventually, I developed clearly defined goals with what I wanted to do with my car, and well, here we are now.
Right. So where did the journey begin with this car? Where did you pick it up from?
I just saw it at the dealership one day. I was actually we actually went to go test drive a rally yard that same day at that same dealership, but I didn't know that this Evo X was sitting in their back lot. So when we were coming in to return the car from the test drive, because I liked it, I saw the Evo in the corner. I asked them, like, hey, what's that sitting over there? And they're like, it's an Evo MR. Took that for a test drive, and well, here we are now. 12 years, and it's still here.
Still here, and you still love it.
Yes.
Good deal. So walk us through the modifications and everything going on under the hood there.
So I run the MHI 18K Turbo, FIC 1650cc injectors, GSC Beehive valve spring kit, AMS TMP cams by Kelford, MEP cast manifold, ETS open dump downpipe, SCM single exit exhaust, Cosmix HP 10R transmission, DW300C pump, solid drivetrain mounts, a flex fuel kit, as well as the remaining supporting mods for full bolt-ons, such as intake, intercooler piping, etc. The goal was to create a car that was very easy to drive on the streets while still providing top-end power.
So we talked about sending off your transmission to Cosmic. So obviously you're not running the stock SST. What all is done to the transmission?
So the Cosmic HP10R transmission includes their template clutch kit with a billet shift fork, refresh and upgraded TCU, as well as all new seals, new fluids, and they tested it in car before they ship it out to me.
Oh wow!
But it doesn't really just stop there for this transmission. The TCU has also been filled with by Hamish from EvoScan with his SST mods. So this includes Super Sport mode on the fly, so you don't have to sit at a stoplight and hold it up for 3 seconds to go into Super Sport. You can do it while on the highway while moving. Increased clutch pressure, unlimited spark plug launch control, so you can modify it up to, I believe it's 8,000 RPM if required, which I'm not going to do because that's terrifying. And custom shift points as well.
Okay. All right, so out of all the modifications you've done so far, what do you think has been the best bang for your buck? What has been the best value for your money?
I would say it's the 18K Turbo. The Cosmic transmission is up there as well, but that came very recently. The 18K Turbo came a couple years ago. I'm going on about year 3 now with it.
Okay.
It gave me the biggest power jump, minimal lag in contrast to the stock turbo. It's just everything that I wanted from a slightly larger turbo upgrade for my car.
Good. Okay. So what do you do about tuning? Do you tune the car yourself, or do you have someone else do it or log in for you?
So the car is built by Lucien Marta. He put everything together, and he actually recommended me to Chet Rickerman at the time. And I've stayed with him since because I've loved his maps. He's very, very good with support. The car's making good power. It feels good on the road. And I just never had a need to change. He's also great with the actual transmission SST tables as well. He will play around with them to make sure the car shifts well and doesn't slip between gears or anything. And I find he knows the limits of the car really well. I've put about 20,000 kilometers now on my 18K Turbo on Chad Rickerman's tunes.
So, for everybody out there listening, what has been your best quarter mile time so far?
I set my best quarter mile time just last weekend, actually, at Isaac Newton's event. My best was an 11.41 at 120 miles an hour with 1.67 60 foot.
So, obviously out there at the other events, you see a lot of Evo 10s, or you see some more all-wheel drive cars. How has your Evo 10 been doing at the drag strip compared to some of them other all-wheel drive cars, or even some of the late model front-wheel drive cars?
So of course the newer cars, they're very, very drama-free off the line. They're tuned really, really well. But I find even though that my MR is really old now and in contrast to the newer cars, it does launch relatively drama-free. I don't really feel like there's anything, like I don't feel like anything's about to fall apart, which was my actual initial fear, which is why I never launched the car before. Mm-hmm. But since the car's been taking it well, it's been giving me good 60 foots. I was able to pump out back-to-back 1.6 60 foots on this car with the AYC diff.
Wow, okay.
So since the car's been doing well in that matter, I've learned to trust it over time.
Yeah,
a lot more.
for sure. Have you had any close calls or mechanical failures?
Yeah, so this actually brings me to why I upgraded my transmission. So I was doing a pass with a friend, and for some reason, my car center console would show fourth gear when I engaged fourth gear, but the car would stay in third. And I was like, okay, something's about to go wrong, and I know exactly what's about to go wrong. As soon as I let off the throttle, transmission warning light, and I lost gears 2, 4, and 6.
Oh,
And this was actually at Toronto Motorsports Park, so that was a very, very long drive home.
I bet.
Yeah, it was not fun sitting at. I can't even sit at 100 because the car will sit at close to 5K.
So, Rohan, take me through your pre-race ritual from the time you unload from the trailer, the first time you get up to the line. What do you do to get focused?
So I usually have the music off in the car. I just try to focus on the car itself. I just listen to the cams lump away. I tell myself the electronic diff won't grenade on the launch. I make sure I have traction control off, cars in super sport. Basically everything in my power that I can make sure to have a good launch, I make sure that's checked off.
Okay. So you kind of have like a pre-flight checks, if you will.
Yes.
This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by Carbonetics Carbon Fiber. They set the standard for quality when it comes to composite products. All Carbonetics products feature a UV coat for a high gloss finish. They are extremely lightweight for race applications, have a high strength to weight ratio, fit just like OEM parts, and are hand laminated using only grade A carbon with a 2x2 twill weave. Many of their products can be seen on dozens of cars on our list. Check out all they have to offer at carbonetics.inc.com.
So, Rohan, in your opinion, what are the benefits and the downfalls of buying the MR, the Evo 10 with the SST transmission?
So I'll be very honest, the SST is a horrendously moody transmission, and it does what it wants to do. From factory, it's very unreliable, and it's pretty poorly designed as well. The SST-equipped Evos also don't come with environmental seals between the TK splines and the SST, so those cars that are driven in winter, the teeth for the TK splines, they get chewed up quite badly. And they also make 10% less power on average than their GSR equivalents. However, I do find that the SST feels very connected to the road. The DCT feeling is very nice, especially when you're going wide open throttle down the drag strip. Like it doesn't feel like a torque converter automatic, which is really nice. It's a unique feeling. And once the transmission is built, you don't really have to worry about the majority of things with it. And the gearing is super short, which I really, really like, because it does help in the quarter mile a lot, where I have a usable fifth gear, in contrast to the GSR, where fifth is kind of just an overdrive gear.
Right.
So if you're pushing a lot more power and you got to hook fifth in a GSR, you're going to lose out on your time just due to the gearing.
I think a lot of people they have this outlook that the SST transmission is like the torque converter transmission or a CVT, and then like I've only ridden in one, but as soon as I was in it, I mean it was almost like you were really rolling through the gears because I mean you pretty much are.
You can feel the clutches engage and disengage when you're at a stop and you're about to get moving. Like it feels alive, which I really like. Mm-hmm. It feels very different in contrast to a normal torque converter.
So overall, do you think that the Evo 10 is underrated as a drag racing platform? Because I feel like we don't see a lot of them drag racing when we compare them to the other Mitsubishi platforms.
Yes, I do think it is underrated, but more and more people are becoming inclined to drag race them, so we're seeing a lot more cars actually get out and do it. I guess it's also because since more and more people have been doing it, people are realizing that, yes, you can actually beat on the car and pump out some really good 60-foots without breaking anything. As long as the car is maintained really well, I wouldn't really worry too much about the stock electronic diff, which I know is a big concern. The downside with the Evo X, though, is that it's a big-bodied car. It's enormously heavy. But the Formula 11T, it's done well to make a name for itself.
For sure. Well, I mean, that being said, what do you think are the common misconceptions that people have about the 4B11 or the Evo 10 as a whole?
So a common misconception would be the socially accepted failure rate of drivetrain components when launching these cars. If they're taken care of and properly maintained, the chance of failure is lower than most people make it out to be. As far as modifying goes, I think the general EvoX community proceeds through various upgrades relatively logically. We have the old forums and a reasonably active community to thank for that.
Well, that leads me perfectly into my next question. Uh, how is the Evo 10 community when it comes to drag racing focused builds?
So our community up here in Canada is significantly smaller than the States. But I do find the cars that do want to go drag racing, everyone's inclined to just, even if they're from different shops, it's not like anyone's rooting for each other's failure or anything. Everyone wants to keep continuously improving upon themselves. And no one really, the people who do drag race, they don't really put down other shop cars and such, which I really do like, as it does, it helps with the community vibe a lot. Yeah, we do have like our small conflicts. There's bad apples and those in the community, but every community has those.
Right. It's always going to be drama.
Yep.
So do you participate in any meets or forums like EvoM or the groups on Facebook or Reddit?
Occasionally I do post in the SST group on Facebook. Whenever I'm doing anything, if I'm launching my car, setting times, or if I'm playing around with the TCU mods from Hamish. Otherwise, in person, I don't really go to general car community meets. It's not really for me. The whole like TikTok or hard parking, it's not really for me. We have our fair share of Mitsubishi related events here, though. So, me for example, I hold yearly cruises for the community where we take a drive out into the countryside with nice back roads. Mm-hmm. The community is really nice for that as well, because even if there's a lot of cops on the road, we don't really get bothered just because everyone's mature and we don't cut through traffic or anything like that, which is nice. Isaac also holds the Mitsubishi Lancer Turbo Club track days, where we all try to best our own times, as well as one another's. And those days I do like attending quite a lot.
Yeah. Being around like-minded people makes you just want to push it more.
Yes.
Well, Rohan, what's the next big goal for this car?
I want to just keep chipping away at my own personal best with my current setup. The setup, as it currently sits, is my ideal setup. It achieves the goal of wanting an easy-to-drive big turbo car that runs on various fuel blends, as I do have flex fuel, without having to plug in my laptop and just monitor and watch everything like, oh, is my AFR okay? Is my boost okay? Am I knocking? Anything like that. Like, I feel the car's relatively drama-free for an old car now. I can take a trip to Whole Foods, go grocery shopping, buy some milk, and then I can run mid-11s on the quarter mile the same day if I want to. And then drive home in air conditioning, or if it's cold, I can have my heated seat on and listen to music.
Right.
It is a full interior car.
Wow. So you really you got it all going on, sounds like.
Yeah, and it's a heavy car.
So is your plan to stick with the Evo 10 for the long term, or do you eventually want to move on to something else?
So if I was going to get into another enthusiast car of any kind, it would have to exist alongside my Evo X. I can't let it go.
Understandable. All right, so Rohan, let's hypothetically money isn't an issue. What does your dream build look like for this, or what is your fantasy car that you would love to take to the track?
So my dream build for this car is how it sits. I know it doesn't make as much power as, let's say, maybe an FP Black or like a bigger T4 kitted turbo, but it is very easy to drive and makes very good power for a full interior street car. But if I do have a fantasy car that I really want to get into, it's sort of basic, but I would want a GTR. They make ridiculous power, and they're still very sharp street cars. I find it's kind of a similar type of feel to them as the Evo XMR, where you have a DCT all-wheel drive and a turbo motor. I also want to get into a first-gen Viper at some point if I can.
was gonna say, as soon as you said GTR, I thought, well, you stick with the DCT transmission.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Rohan, if your Evo 10 came alive and had a personality, how would you describe it?
The thing would just be angry. I don't know how else to describe it. It idles angry. It lumps with the cams. The way the face looks of the car, the way the car pulls, the open dumb screaming. It always seems very angry.
Awesome. So, Rohan, what has been the weirdest or the funniest thing that someone has said to you about your car?
So this quote would come from my friend Xerxes, who I've been meaning to convince to put down some quarter mile times in his final edition. So he made a comment about my engine bay. He said, "I like how you have the dirtiest, ugly engine bay out of all of us, but you're just like, F you, I'm fast." I found that to be fitting, because my engine bay doesn't really have any matching parts or like a pretty tubular manifold or nice painted valve cover. I have an MAP cast manifold hidden underneath the hideous OEM heat shield. Polished aluminum upper intercooler pipe made by our talented local fabricator, Greg Rapp, but with a wrinkle black ETS intake and blue tile QRJ. So nothing really matches, but all the parts are of good quality. I also have the plastic valve cover with the Mavic harness sprawled out over it in the corner.
Oh man!
So I do need to clean it up now, which I'm going to focus on. So everyone stops. Everyone gives me a little break.
Stop harassing.
Exterior wise, though, like my car has looked the same for 12 years. The only thing that's changed is that it's on lowering springs now and spacers.
Well, Rohan, where can people find and follow you on social media so they can see some more of this Evo 10?
I am active on my Instagram, which is JDM_Rohan. That's where I post all of my content and various stages of my build.
And lastly, I always give people a chance to give a thanks or a shout out to anybody who's helped them out along the way. Is there anybody that you want to give a thanks or a shout out to?
I would like to give a shout out to Lucian Marta. Without him, I wouldn't be able to live this dream of this car. Like it's my absolute dream setup for the car, which everything I wanted out of my Evo X is in this car. And thanks to his work, knowledge, and suggestions, he pointed me in the right direction every time. And the end result was a smaller big turbo car that punches above his weight class on the stock block. He's also been my trackside support and moral support, because whenever I'm terrified of launching the car, he's always there and he reassures me that it would be okay. So thank you again for that. I really appreciate you. I also want to thank my tuner, Chet Rickerman. His extensive knowledge is prominent in the way he sets up the cars. The e-tuning process with him is very, very easy. He set up my flex fuel system without really any problems. He's consistently provided me powerful tunes at every stage with my 18K in the last few years. I want to thank my friends in the community as well for their support. At the track, I felt significantly less stressed launching my car, knowing that, well, my boys were there rooting for my success as I do for them.
Right.
It doesn't matter which shop or anything they come from. Like our group has quite a lot of different setups, tuners, places where they go for their work. But everyone has the same goal in mind. We just want to go fast. That's about it.
For sure.
Also, thank you to Isaac Nunes for being the trackside dad at our events. He takes care of all of us, regardless of who we are tuned by or what our setup is. Thank you to my friend Xerxes, who's always rooting for me, even when he's MIA. And thank you, Nick, for being a great friend. We've had some great memories now, and I'm glad to continue making new ones with everyone.
All right, well, Rohan, I want to say thank you for coming on here and taking the time to tell your story and tell the story about your Evo 10. And I can't wait to see some more personal best from you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, you take care.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.